Welcome to the Economy Magazine. I am Benjamin Chong Alfares with the top news from the world economy. Coming up, as Greece climbs out of recession, it struggles to stay on track. Grinkorn expounds on the Alibaba IPO. And Polish apple farmers face bankruptcy due to Russian ban. First, the headlines. Japan's economy contracted the most in more than 5 years, dealing a blow to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's efforts to re-energize the market. Gross domestic product shrank an annualized 7.1% in the April to June quarter, the most since the first quarter of 2009. Though Abe's policies aimed to boost corporate profits to allow for a trickle-down, household spending has been slow to recover. And as deflation persists, the Bank of Japan may be forced to consider additional monetary easing measures to boost the economy. New European Union sanctions on Russia will block 3 more state-owned oil companies from raising money in the bloc's capital markets. Under the modest expansion of sanctions, Gazpromneft, Transneft, and Rosneft will be forbidden from raising funds of longer than 30 days maturity. 5 state-controlled banks barred from raising funds for longer than 90 days will have the maximum maturity cut to 30 days. Sanctions will also bar sales from the EU of technologies that have both civil and military applications to 9 Russian companies providing services to the Russian military. China's trade surplus hit a record high in August as exports grew on stronger U.S. and foreign demand, while imports fell for a second month. Exports increased 9.4% from a year earlier, while imports unexpectedly dropped 2.4%, leaving a trade surplus of $49.8 billion. China's exports are being helped by U.S. economic growth that rebounded to a 4.2% annualized pace in the second quarter. But the weak import demand suggests stimulus moves, including fiscal spending and targeted monetary policy easing, so far have fallen short. The sterling fell to a 10-month low on Monday after the campaign for a yes vote on Scottish independence took the lead. The pound was down 1% in early trading to just below $1.62 a pound, its weakest level since last November. The Scottish National Party said it would refuse to take on any of the UK's debt obligations if it cannot keep the pound. A vote in favor of Scottish independence would also leave the financial markets facing a significant number of other uncertainties. Aside from questions regarding UK national debt and the ownership of North Sea oil, the impact on UK companies with significant cross-border operations remains unclear. Austerity and stimulus have propped up the Greek economy, allowing it to slowly climb back out of the Great Recession. Its main challenge now is to stay on the right track. Here's more.
After more than 4 years of recession, Greece has finally started to return to growth. It's an optimism that many wouldn't have expected at this juncture.
We are exiting the recession. We are exiting the crisis. The era of bailouts is ending.
In the first and second quarters of this year, the decline of the Greek economy eased. And looking forward to the end of the year, GDP is projected to increase by 0.6%. Growth is close at hand, and to catch it, Prime Minister Antonis Samaras is aiming to stimulate the economy through tax cuts. This is meant to ensure that the debt, representing more than 175% of its GDP, will be manageable.
In the next months, Greece will receive for the first time an official guarantee that its debt is viable. Despite the fact that the debt remains high, it has started to decrease for the first time in absolute numbers.
The country will also have to be careful not to misstep and reverse some of this good news. There are challenges. Greece is the country deepest in debt in the Eurozone, while loans in the amount of $310 billion from the European Central Bank and the International Monetary Fund, with strings attached, have enabled Greece to meet some debt payments. Continuing in the cycle cannot be a long-term solution if the country's economy is to thrive.
For months now, there has been a lot of hype around Alibaba Group's upcoming listing, which is set to become the biggest IPO in history. But as they begin the formal sales pitch, the question that remains to be resolved is, how much stock do investors want to own, and what will they pay for it? Joseph Grinkorn, founder and chairman of the Mars Group, joins us now for a look into the upcoming Alibaba IPO. Mr. Grinkorn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What can you say about the timing of this IPO? Is it particularly auspicious? I mean, is it good? Is it bad? Why is the timing right now?
The timing is actually better than ever right now. Wall Street in general is on a big bull market right now. But more importantly, the technology sector is the hottest ever. That's where the investors want to go for growth and are making big earnings quarter after quarter and for the last 2 years.
Okay, so obviously Jack Ma has specifically chosen this time for the Alibaba IPO, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now as we go into the formal roadshow, so to speak, I mean, where they really just sort of step it up a little bit and talk up the company, can you give us a little more understanding of what they're doing here in terms of the roadshow, how they're marketing, so to speak, ahead of the IPO?
Sure. Well, basically any kind of roadshow, big or small, all is based around the vision. And what they're doing is they're selling the Alibaba vision. What's that vision? Where it started, where it is today, and what the future is for Alibaba. And if they can get investors to buy into that, they will have an extremely, extremely successful IPO.
Now, in terms of the future for Alibaba, I mean, Jack Ma had said in the past, China is the main course, the US is dessert. But obviously, this IPO is hyped up tremendously. I mean, there's some kernel of importance that they're putting into this IPO, right?
Yeah, of course. I think he's downplaying like the U.S. market just a little bit. I mean, we are the biggest market in the world, so to speak. So I think as far as choosing the U.S. stock exchange, there isn't any better or bigger place where Alibaba should be right now. As far as, their vision goes, China, 1.4 billion people that live there, of course, but the real money is really competing with the Amazons and eBays of the world, and that's where Jack Ma wants to be right now.
And they're ready to do that?
They are ready to do that. All the numbers are showing that their numbers are going higher than all the expectations and actually doubling all the revenues of eBay and Amazon combined. So I'm very excited about this. He's going to have a lot to prove to investors during this roadshow.
Right.
But I think the IPO is going to be extremely successful, so I can't wait.
Fantastic. Okay, well, everybody seems to be very excited. The media is generally very excited. Now, what if, okay, let's look at two different scenarios here. What if, on the one hand, all the hype and all the excitement does not really entirely pan out, and the expectations of it being the biggest IPO are not reached, versus what if they go beyond the expectations? What are the two scenarios? Can you describe?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, I believe that it's going to be an extremely successful IPO. That's why during the early stages of the roadshow, today is the first day.
Right.
They're doing it in grand fashion in New York, of course, in the Waldorf Astoria, which is where all the big companies do it, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And again, they're selling that vision. So as of now, everything looks between $20 to $25 billion will be the actual raising amount. Anything over 20 is a record worldwide. The IPO share price is somewhere between $60 and $66. During the next 2 weeks, we'll really test investors on the appetite for Alibaba, how much they're buying into his vision, how much they believe of the growth in China and worldwide, and that will ultimately really determine by the 19th of this month how successful this IPO will be.
Okay, so from your answer, I'm guessing, I'm understanding here that you don't necessarily want to look at the what if it doesn't live up to expectations, because you don't really see that happening.
No, I really don't see that happening, especially with this, with this company in particular. Most of the companies that are going to IPO have a lot of growth, but they have a lot of growth and a lot of income at their current stage right now. They've been years and years operating in China. They've recently launched AliExpress, which is making a huge push into the U.S. and European market right now. So all their cash revenues are very, very positive right now. They have a lot of cash in the bank. So I think investors are really, really excited about this. But the question is, again, can they hit the $20 to $25 billion private raise from all the big Wall Street investors?
Okay, well, I guess we'll see what's going to be in another 2 weeks or so. Thank you very much. Joseph Grinkorn, founder and chairman of the Mars Group. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Poland is the world's leading exporter of apples and is being hit hard by Russia's retaliatory ban on EU products amid the Ukraine crisis. The price of Polish apples is plummeting, and without help from the European Union, growers are facing bankruptcy. The following report has more.
There may be a bumper crop this year, but Polish apple growers know already that 2014 will be a bad one. On On August 1st, Russia banned certain fruits and vegetables, including Polish apples, in response to EU sanctions against Moscow amid the Ukraine crisis. As the world's top apple exporter, Poland is being hit hard.
Competition is up on the rest of the world market. Prices have therefore plummeted. We're selling a kilogram of apples for between 15 and 18 cents, while our production costs are between 30 and 37 cents. If nothing changes and we don't receive any compensation, we won't be able to renew production next year.
The European Union has earmarked 125 million euros compensation for Poland to cover the losses from the Russian embargo. Apple growers will receive 82 million of that. They say it's less than a tenth of the value of Polish apple exports to Russia last year, and therefore isn't nearly enough.
Jeśli Unia Europejska nie zdecyduje się na stosowne rekompensaty, a nasi rolnicy będą zmuszeni do umieszczenia.
If the EU doesn't provide adequate compensation, and our growers are forced to sell their products on the German, French or British market, we could block or destabilize them for several years. We don't want that, nor does the European Union.
While they wait for a decision, Polish producers are exploring other options, including selling their apples to food banks at rock-bottom prices. The shelves in this Warsaw food bank are still empty, but might not be for long.
We've already received 50 calls. It's huge, and some growers want to sell us over 300 tons of apples. It's unprecedented. With the help of our community partners, we'll distribute these apples to 45,000 people using our bank.
Poles are also biting back at the Russian ban with social media campaigns urging fellow citizens to show their patriotism by eating more apples. While growers appreciate the spirit of solidarity, they know it isn't a long-term solution.
And now for discussion of some other matters explored by reporters around the world in Media Watch. And Daniel Roth joins us for Media Watch. Daniel Roth, how's it going?
It's going okay.
Okay, so I understand the first story takes us to The Guardian.
Yeah, The Guardian, and really it's everywhere. The Guardian had a particularly good look at this. September 10th, a couple of days from now, is going to be a symbolic internet slowdown day. This is a bunch of different organizations, mostly based in the U.S., from Reddit, the website, to MoveOn.org, to the ACLU, the American Civil...
What is meant by internet slowdown?
So they want everyone who has a website in the world to put a symbol, like a buffering symbol or a loading symbol, to protest the FCC may make a decision to do away with net neutrality.
Which means what exactly? Net neutrality?
Net neutrality, you can best put it like this. One of the founders of FightForTheFuture.org said the following: imagine all your favorite websites taking forever to load while you get annoying notifications from your internet service provider suggesting that you switch to one of their approved fast lane sites. So it's basically saying right now it's illegal for internet service providers to give certain preferred companies faster access. And what may happen, the FCC may make new rules that allow ISPs to do this, to say, make it faster to go to Amazon than Netflix, and then Netflix will be gone. Or make it faster to watch music videos from, I don't know, Guns N' Roses versus or even worse, the up-and-coming bands that's looking to break through on YouTube will never see the time of day. They'll never see the sun.
And so money creeps in to decide what we should be doing and how we should live our lives.
So this is a big question of major corporations pushing government agencies to essentially give them more power to make more money.
Okay, it seems like a lost battle a little bit, no?
It's a big question. For a lot of people, this is the fight of the day. This is the major issue that we're facing. You can see actually how private corporations and public government are interacting. The Washington Post has a piece talking about the new CTO, the new Chief Technology Officer of the United States, essentially an advisor to President Obama. The White House. He's a former Google X executive. Google X, which worked on Project Loon, which is making contact lenses that...
But doesn't that make sense that it would take someone from the private sector who's got all this, experience behind them?
Well, so this is the big question. Again, a big question of the day is it a revolving door that's connecting private industry with public infrastructure in a way that's detrimental to the public? Or is it something that's beneficial because of the experience someone brings? And there's a lot of people who think it's a good thing that Megan Smith, this Google executive, is now in charge there. A lot of people don't think it's a good thing because it's creating a scenario where Google is much too close to the government.
Right. And then also, isn't there also someone else that's coming underneath her?
Right. So the deputy is Alexander McGillivray, who's a former Twitter lawyer, who's actually very much for net neutrality.
We're going to have to tweet out on that. No, thank you very much, Daniel Roth. And that's it for us at The Economy Magazine, your daily source for economic and financial reports at I-24 News. I'm Benjamin Chong-Lafaras. Join us again tomorrow and send us your comments.